This video is going to look at mountain building. So in certain types of faults and in certain areas, depending on how the plates are moving, you're going to start to form mountains. And there are different ways we get mountains, and depending on the type of fault you have is going to result in different types of mountains that you see. So just a reminder that this is going to happen over millions of years. You're just not going to get a mountain overnight. It takes time for those plates to push that rock and bend that rock and break that rock until it gets to the shape that it's what we refer to as a mountain, at least. So they are formed by faulting, so you will get mountain ranges along fault lines. If you ever look at a map and you find a mountain range somewhere, then at some point there was an active fault there. Basically, either it's going to be a normal fault or a reverse fault. Your transformed boundaries don't necessarily produce mountains too well. So, normal faults are going to be tension forces, and that's going to be when they are being pulled apart, so the plates are being pulled apart, and reverse faults are going to be your compression forces, and that's when they're going to be pushed together, so convergent and divergent boundaries there. So let's look at our first type of mountain being made here. This is going to be made off of a normal fault. So we have a bunch of normal faults being parallel to each other. If you pay attention to the picture down there, it kind of explains it a little better than the words. At least I could. This one is a bit complicated, but we do get these normal fault lines. So remember, normal faults are going to have a foothill and the fault planes. So you will be able to see the fault planes here is what we're really paying attention to. As one section of the rock is going to move down, the other is going to move up. And if we get a bunch of these at parallel intervals to each other, the sections that move down are going to expose that section in the front. And this here, right here, is eventually going to be your mountain. And over here, these are going to form valleys. So that's kind of how that normal fault is going to work. Again, this is when our plates are moving away from each other. This is going to happen. They have all this space they're going to create. Rock's going to move and bend and force things up and down. You also get mountains formed by folding. So in this case, we have compression forces. This one's pretty easy to understand. If you've ever scuffed your foot across a rug or something, you get that little bulge in the rug. That's exactly what's happening with our convergent boundaries in our plates here. Our forces are compressing them, and you're going to get the rock bent, and part of it's going to bend upwards and part of it's going to bend downwards. Your anticline goes up and your syncline goes down, which we'll get to right here. See, as our rock is being folded here, it's being squished and compressed together. It's starting to get these folds. Your anticlines go up and your synclines go down. You also get formations of plateaus as well around fault lines. These are large areas of flat land that are high above sea level. They can be formed from both types of boundaries. It's just depending on how the fault is, what kind of land the fault is on. If it's on a nice plains land, this is what you're going to start to see. Keep in mind, plateaus are wider than they are tall. So if you look at this picture here, this distance here, this vertical distance, is less than the horizontal distance. And basically, we're just going to push up this large area of flat rock, and that's going to be your plateau.